I'd like to officially call the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting of December 13th to order. And please let the record reflect that all commissioners are in attendance. And if Commissioner De Almeida would lead us in the pledge. Everybody stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And so we'll start off with some public comments, and if anyone would like to address the Planning Commission, please do so. And if you wish to address the Planning Commission on an item not listed on the agenda, you should fill out a speaker's request form, and please limit your response to 3 minutes. And do we have any?
Heiko Peschel.
Oh, what a surprise.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, City staff, and fellow residents. Heiko Peschel, 4 Perel Avenue, Foothill Ranch. First of all, I'd like to for having another good year, helping us out. We do need the help, trust me. And I'd like to see you keep going in that direction. Second of all, I like the way the city's going. I have just one minor comment, and it's not per se anything on the agenda tonight. It has to do with a fire called the Camp Fire. And I don't know that I have all the information. I do have some. If you've ever been to the city or town of Paradise, you know there's really only one way in and out. There is another way, but it's a 4x-way. And the rumor has it, and I'm not certain if it's true, that a few years ago the city of Paradise, in conjunction with the county, decided they were going to calm down that stretch of road. It appears that that calming effect may have had the opposite effect on the people trying to get out of there. We are, in several areas, we have similar positions where there's a restricted way in and out of the areas we live in. Please look at that when you decide anything in the way of future actions for the Commission. Anyway, have a good holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. And I forgot to say, too, when you do come up, please give your name and your city of residence. Thanks.
We do not have any more speaker cards.
Great. And do we have any presentation items?
Not this evening.
Great. Okay, so what the next item we'll do is the consent calendar. And if somebody could make a motion on that.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Let's vote.
That passes unanimously.
What do you know? And the public hearing, Gail, if you have some.
Yes, our first public hearing this evening is permitted to establish Glee Music Academy, and Amanda Loffer is here with the staff report.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The item before you tonight is a use permit to establish Glee Music Academy, an instructional studio with periodic weekend recitals within an existing office suite in the Spectrum Center Business Park. The proposed use is considered an instructional studio and requires the approval of a use permit in the Business Park zoning district. Glee Music Academy provides private one-on-one music lessons and periodic weekend student recitals when lessons are not occurring. The 13 spaces that are allotted to the suite are sufficient for the one-on-one musical instruction. The applicant submitted a shared parking study that was prepared by K2 Traffic Engineering to show how parking could be accommodated for the recital performances. The parking study indicated that a total of 19 spaces would be required for the recitals, and the applicant has submitted their lease agreement showing that Glee Music Academy will have access to a total of 25 spaces during recital times. The shared parking study has been reviewed by the city's traffic engineer and planning staff and is consistent with the requirements of the shared parking regulations. The proposed music instructional studio will be conducted completely within the interior of the building. Conditions of approval have been added to the project that require the business to comply with the city's noise ordinance and that all doors are to remain closed during any instructional lessons or recitals to further reduce the noise impacts to surrounding tenants. The proposed use is compliant with all applicable zoning code requirements and, as conditioned, is compatible with surrounding uses in the business park. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of this use permit. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and the applicant is also in the audience as well. Thank you.
We have a speaker card from...
Hello, thank you for having me here today. Can I just say that I love Lake Forest, and Amanda has been a dream to work with. She's done flips to make things easy, understandable, all along the way.
Name and services, please.
Karen Lake.
Yep.
I live here in Lake Forest, and Glee Music Academy is at 20902 Big Parkway. And we started out in Lake Forest, and we had such a good experience. When we moved to our new building, we wanted to stay in the city. And we provide private lessons. We have a team of 10 teachers, and they do fabulous work. We specialize in school-age children, but we also do adults. And we've had fantastic neighbors that have been very responsive. Because of the whole use permit, we went and talked to a lot of the neighbors, and they're all very supportive. And any questions that you might have?
Just a couple. I do like the practice rooms seem to be on the parking lot side and not to the thing. And I like, there's something in there, too, that if that should be a problem, that there's a way we can address that.
Yes.
I know when my daughter was in elementary school, she tried the violin, and sometimes the rehearsal was quite...
Takes a while, a
agony.
long time before
Yeah.
the violin sounds
Yeah,
good.
but I'm just saying that
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
you're
sure
right.
I'd want the office
You know.
next door listening to that, too. So, the other question I had with regard to guitar will it be amplified during
It isn't
rehearsal
during,
type thing?
no, during lessons. Most of our teachers specialize in acoustic. If we have some high schoolers that do electric, but it's not really important to be loud, if that makes sense.
And then I suppose then the performances, whatever, it looks like they're on Friday night. Probably the neighbors' businesses probably aren't open then. so
Yeah,
it's
and
not
when you do the
an issue.
traffic engineering, there's like almost 80, average of like 80 spots just
Right.
waiting for us, and we only need 19, so it's been nice. We were worried about the traffic study, so we were pretty excited when it came back.
And your music school is there's just one. It's just in Lake Forest. You don't have several. Great.
So we were in a little place, and then we got a bigger, and then moved to this place.
We do not have any more speakers.
So let's bring it up here and discuss that. Anything?
I can start. I like it. I like the idea that we're bringing in educational aspects, and especially in the arts. I really like it. I like it's near the Majestic Theater. So that's a nice little clustering. I think it's going to start hopefully occurring. Hopefully soon. Okay. I think this is very positive for the community, so I'm totally in favor.
I figure anything to get the kids off their cell phones and do something constructive is a great idea. And I've heard that, too, with music students especially tend to be better in math, and it kind of helps their thinking. So, yeah, I'm all in favor of that. I think it's great. Anybody else?
I'm really glad to see more of these smaller businesses come in that are doing things like music studios and this type of thing. I think it's really important that we do that, do the cultural type things. And I know from past experiences, I think I've known you for a while. You've got a really good reputation for music education and that sort of thing, so we're really glad that you're here, and I certainly support the project.
Great.
Yeah, I propose that we close the public hearing and we adopt the staff recommendation.
I'll say.
Okay, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
I guess welcome back, or to your new location. Thank you.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda is also a use permit to establish Hooray Dog Daycare and Boarding Facility. And Amanda Loffer also has a staff report this evening.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The item before you tonight is a Hooray Dog Daycare and Boarding Facility with ancillary grooming, training, and retail sales within an existing industrial building. The proposed facility could accommodate a maximum of 120 dogs and 6 employees at any given time. The retail area will be located in the front lobby, and the grooming and training services would only be offered to dogs staying at the facility. As described in the staff report, the proposed dog daycare would include a 5,506 square foot indoor training and play area for animals staying at the facility. All business activities associated with the dog daycare and boarding facility will occur within the existing building. The existing building is constructed with 8-inch thick concrete walls, which provides sufficient sound attenuation to satisfy the city requirements related to noise. I would like to clarify that the common wall that the facility shares with the adjacent tenant space includes a 6-inch air gap between the 2 condominiums. Conditions of approval have been added to the project to ensure that all roll-up doors remain closed during business hours, that all business activities occur within the existing building, and that the business comply with the city's noise ordinance. The proposed use is compliant with all applicable zoning code requirements and, as conditioned, is compatible with the surrounding uses within the business park. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the use permit, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and that is also in the audience as well. Thank you.
Andy Atiye.
Again, my name is Andy Atiye. I'm with Pop Up Hooray, and I've lived here in Lake Forest for 26 years. My kids went to school here. I've been involved in the community. And we finally found an opportunity to combine something we love, which is pets, and service to our community. We are proposing opening this facility. As dog owners and lovers, we've noticed that, as you know, the city's growing. A lot of family homes going in with kids and with dogs, and a lot of the home prices are in the $1.5 million type range. So everybody's got to go to work. The kids got to go to preschool. The pups got to go somewhere. And so what we're offering is a nice facility that's enriching to the dogs, where dog parents or dog owners can drop off their dogs during the day or go to work or whatever, come back and pick them up. It's a safe, enriching environment. It's not the old run-of-the-mill kennel type situation. We'll have trained staff. We found a really good building that's located in a appropriately zoned area, as Loffer mentioned, and some advantages is that it's right near the entrance of the park, so there's no traffic is going to be zigzagging through the park, the business park, as people drop off their dogs. We've also incorporated a lot of sound attenuation measures, because I know that's always a concern for people, just like the music. So we're installing rubber flooring that's going to absorb and dissipate a lot of the sounds. We've conducted a noise study, not at this facility, but another facility we're looking at. And at 100 feet from the facility, the noise, if we're lucky enough to have 120 dogs with us at any one time, and they're all barking at once, at 100 feet from the facility, the noise will be 33 decibels, which is, if you might know, less than a whisper. It's the inverse square law of Learned-Alvis of noise. It dissipates quickly. Anyway, we really feel that this will be a benefit to the community, because at this moment there's only one other facility such as this in Lake Forest, as opposed to, say, Santa Margarita, where there's 5. And so people are taking their dogs to other cities to get the service. We'd like to keep it in the community, so to speak. And we are involved in the community. We're attending or co-sponsoring the 5K charity run this weekend. Hopefully you guys will be there. We'll have a table as well and giveaways. So we'd like to be there as part of the community. Answer any questions?
I got one question, and I generally of everybody that comes in proposing with the stuff with the dogs, because I know how well-trained my dog is.
We'll have training, by the way.
Well, okay, you're offering training. You may have an attendee. It's called Pistol, and he lives up to his name.
Pistol.
I was looking at the
Sounds like a
diagram
blast.
of the building, because one of my concerns is dogs have a tendency to urinate. And I was going
Right.
through and et cetera, looking, and that was one of my concerns.
Sure.
And the only place I found was in your letter to us with regard that you were going to use vacuum and a trough that you're disposing of the...
So let me go through that. Thank you.
If you would, please.
Waste is another major thing that we really have to plan for. So when dogs urinate, yeah, that's mopped up quickly, and it's basically disposed of, not in a trough, but it's like a floor sink, with the cleaning fluids and everything else. And the solid waste will be picked up immediately as well. I've talked to both the county waste management as well, or whatever, waste something department, yeah, and CRNR. And they've advised that the method we're doing is we're picking up the waste, putting it in a bag, plastic bag, sealing it, and then that bag goes into a heavy-duty plastic bag that's sealed and put in the dumpster. And that's what they advised. They did admonish that we shouldn't allow the waste to go into the sewers too much or the stormwater. So we'll be cognizant of that. The other thing we're planning to do is monitor the outside of the building. We'll have rules for our customers not to walk their dogs off leash and not to let them go to the toilet outside the building, but we'll have a schedule for employees to just inspect outside the building because people don't listen sometimes. And so that's...
Thank you. That's what I was interested to find out.
So I think that sort of answers my question, too. So all the dogs that are there will be always inside the facility?
Yeah.
There isn't a provision for a person to take them on a walk or something like
Well-
that? Or you can
Yeah,
do that?
thank you for bringing that up. This advantage of having that location, we're right at the entrance to the business park and about 500 yards from the sports park, Lake Forest Sports Park. So, our contemplation is if owners do want them to be taken for a walk, it's right on the public right-of-way along the sidewalk to the sports park and back. They won't be walked in the park. They won't be walked.
So the day, then mostly, they're not going to be less... There'll be...
Yeah.
Can
So we
run
have
around.
these modular play areas, one for big dogs, one for small dogs, one for older dogs, so we'll separate them by needs and type. And we have a proper intake kind of procedure. We look at the temperament of the dog before they come in. We're not going to accept every dog. We'd like to, but, Pistol may be great, but he may not get along with other dogs. We may not be able to take him. But it's a safety thing for the dogs and employees in just general best practice. And so they will all play in a play area, and we'll give them some rest time as well. And then we'll also put the employees through intensive training. That's what we've been doing for the last few months, training ourselves to recognize signs and separate dogs when they're acting up and before any problems happen. And then going back to the noise too, if any dogs are barking too loud, they may have to be given a timeout until they calm down. Sometimes the parents may have to be notified.
You could send them to Glee.
We'll send them to Glee. Oh, she's gone. They'll learn how to play the violin.
And then at least one person will be staying there all night when the dogs...
One person will be staying there all night, and we'll have that person trained on emergency preparedness. We'll have 24-hour VATS on speed dial, God forbid. If enough to have, usually, yeah. Yes, sir.
I've got a diagram of the first floor reception. What's going to occur on the second floor?
Right now, we don't have much going on. We're just starting up, and honestly, we just don't have the budget to do the second floor yet. But we will have an employee area on the second floor, lockers, area for them to rest, take breaks, that kind of thing.
Okay. So if you are ever contemplating doing the second floor, it would be not for the pets or the animals, it would be staff.
Probably staff, or we thought about having, kind of a training room for, new staff as they come in, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
I noticed in your presentation that there's a requirement that the air conditioning be available continuously. In the open area, is the entire building air conditioned?
So in the open area, we have air conditioners, but we also have ceiling fans. Let's say we have a dozen ceiling fans, and when those things get going, it circulates the air pretty well. We thought about getting one of those large industrial fans, but those small ceiling fans, is it a dozen? About a dozen ceiling fans? Yeah. We may not need, air conditioning in there all the time. The ceiling fans may do just fine. We did have the Orange County Animal Care Services, whatever, come by and look, and they thought that and we'll have to get a license from them anyway. That dynamics worked out well.
Okay. I noticed that's one of the conditions. You can't have any of the doors or windows open, so that I was wondering.
Yeah.
The air conditioning is pretty important in this case.
Right.
You brought up my companion here brought up an interesting point about emergency preparedness. Do you have, especially in the open area where the dogs are?
We plan to put that's part of our emergency preparedness plan is to have these emergency lights. We have some right now, but I'm not sure that that's going to be enough. We'll work with the contractor in making sure that we have it in there.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got one more question.
Yes, sir.
I got one more. As part of the boarding requirements, will you be to ensure that the dogs have their adequate rabies?
Yes, that's part of the intake.
And distemper and those type of things.
Yeah, not just for boarding, it's for also for daycare.
Is that controlled by animal control, or who monitors you with regard to that? Anybody?
They have standards, but we're going to make sure that we're going to be responsible for that anyway. We don't want to get, you hear dogs that go in and they come back. Even kennel cough, some of the stuff isn't, is unavoidable, but we're going to try and do that. My son works at one of these facilities, and he's learning all the tricks of the trade as well. So, because another city. Very good. Thank you.
One last question, and then I'll leave you alone.
I'm here all night.
You have an exit door out the back of the large area where the dogs are going to be. The dog escaping out through that door area. It looks like the front entrance.
They're going to be kept closed. All the doors are going to be kept
closed all the time, so it's not going to be open inadvertently.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have it alarmed or something like that, just in case somebody tries to open it. Or
we're going to have alarms, because we get cheaper insurance for the alarms, so we can enable the alarm for that. The building is wired for alarms, and we plan to have an alarm, especially that we have overnight staff. Open in the middle of the night and nobody knows about it. Yeah,
that's what I was just wondering, because to me it was an easy way for a dog to get out.
Yeah.
So that's what I was wondering, kind of a double, a trapped vestibule or something to keep them from getting out.
Yeah, but you're.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Got a couple of questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
He said he'd leave me alone, I guess.
You said you'd be here all night.
Now, you said the doors are closed?
The back doors in the warehouse, yeah.
What are you doing for air exchange?
That's where the fans come in.
Yeah, but it's the same air.
It's yeah.
Because after a while...
It's a 5
have an air quality problem inside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can turn on the air conditioner. You know,
You might consider some exhaust fans that electronic vent out of the roof or something,
okay.
because that could get pretty stale, particularly on hot days. And even for the humans that are in the building.
Yeah.
Okay. We probably
that's-
ought to condition on that. The idea that there's some kind of air exchange in there and the ability to vent, say, have a ceiling that air so you can have some air exchange.
So we actually have the framework. We have the ducts and we have air conditioning units for the warehouse. What I was saying is our plan isn't to have them all the time because it's an energy kind of drain, but if it gets to be like that, I guess we can turn them on, yeah. That's a question I asked directly of the Animal Services Department in Orange County. And I said, do you think the fans would be enough to do this? And they, at least at that time, they said yes. But we do have the ability to turn on the fan, to turn on the air conditioning units in the warehouse. We've got units that are specific for the warehouse. You just don't want to do it all the time because a 5,000 square foot warehouse really air conditioning.
I would think the roof is probably vented. You probably have that would think it's insulated, and they got probably some sort of vent thing, especially
Those little vents, yeah.
You generally don't have that in air-conditioned areas. I'm just suggesting to you that over time, the dog, we're all familiar with doggy smells, and it is a pretty big volume, but it could get pretty stifling in there, particularly on hot days. I think that ought to be considered.
Okay.
Well, it helps too if the air conditioners have economizers on them, because the economizers will pull in a lot more of the outside air, so that might be something to consider if they've got economizers in the air conditioning system or not.
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I'll have to.
So if there's no further comment, I'd like to close the public hearing and make a motion to,
We still have a couple of speakers.
or there's that.
Want to get to the game?
Sorry.
Gary Martinez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gary Martinez. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I'm from the city of La Habra. So I am here on behalf of the property ownership. We actually had the opportunity to put the property up on the market for sale. We've had it up on the market for about 3 months, and from what we understand, there was a few other brokers that were on the property before us, and they were unsuccessful in regards to being able to fulfill the space with a well-qualified buyer or a tenant for the property. When we took over the property, we did have an opportunity to look at a couple of different people that had an interest in the property, and some of the questions that you guys brought up today are the exact same questions that we brought up as well, and some of the stuff that we wanted to make sure we had answered before we were able to make a well-qualified decision. And in review of Andy's documents in regards to his business plan and everything else that he supplied to us, we're very satisfied with the information he supplied us, along with walking the property with him and his knowledge of the industry. Another thing we did also was we conducted our own market study to verify that this use in the business is actually a use that's going to be compatible and going to be potentially there for the long term. What we did is we did a study on a 5-mile radius from the location. We identified there's 240,000 residents that are in the area, about 81,000 households. And out of the 81,000 households, there's about 40% of the households that have either one or multiple dogs in their facility. And as we talked about earlier, it appears as if Lake Forest only has one location like this. So we recognize there's a gap, and the gap is that there's everyone with dogs are leaving the city and going elsewhere for this service. And so in dealing with this particular type of business in other cities as well, we recognize that these businesses have been doing very well, very profitable, and sustainable, especially as people continue to get dogs. We've been seeing an increase in pets over the years, and so we think this is a good use. We support the use, and one thing we had to do in order to make sure that we get approval, from the neighbors, is that we had to go to the association as well, talk to the property manager, and they had an opportunity to talk to the people that are part of the board, and we got support from them too. So this is something we're excited about. I think it's something that's needed in the city, and we're very happy to be here today, and look forward to hopefully a positive response from you as well.
Thank you. Good. Thanks.
Soroush Egtarafi.
You pronounce it well. Good evening. My name is Sarush, and bear with me because the first time I speak in front of people. I own 2 properties in the same park.
What city are you from?
I am from Anaheim,
Thank you.
but we have businesses here, and in this park I have 2 properties. One property I have is about 35 feet in front of this property. Okay, and I'm also an audiologist, so I know that that dog bark will disturb my tenant. We spent over $200,000 remodeling that property. It has marble. You should go see it, how beautiful the place is. Having them coming in, first of all, 120 dogs have to be delivered in the morning and picked up in the evening. The parking is not enough. They are going to take all the parkings, and people who are working there will not have a place to park. So we're going to have parking problems. We're going to have problem with dogs barking. They will have to ventilate that warehouse. There's no way you can put 120 dogs in there and not ventilate it. So we're going to get this smell, because we are right across from them. We're going to get this smell. The people are going to walk their dogs. We all love our dogs. We're going to walk them. They're going to pee. You're not going to be able to wash up that. It's going to stay and it's going to smell. Okay? And as far as I know, there is no air conditioner in the warehouse. But even if they have it, it's not going to filter the air so much that the smell doesn't come that side. And imagine 120 people wants to come every morning and drop their dogs and then pick them up. And then retail itself. These properties are not built for retail. The amount of parking we have there is just enough for the businesses over there. We have a big engineering firm working across from them. We have about that building we have is about around 7,000 square feet. And they have about 10 or 15 engineers who work them. They got to park. If they come in the morning and there's no parking, what are they going to do? My tenant has already put his concern. And the association did not talk to us and ask us, what do we think about it? I called them and I said to them about it all. So we have told them, but we don't want something that big. I know that we need a place to put our dogs, but that facility is not designed for that. If you go and look at it, there's only like 10 or 15 parking in front of that, and they're twins, so there's another building next to it, so they have to park somewhere too. Imagine all that cars, where are they going to park? So this is, I know it sounds very good. I think it's a noble idea to have a good business there, but that facility is not going to be, it is not designed for something like that. Not the parking, environmentally, the smell, it's going to create problem for us. And we have spent so much money improving the both buildings we have over there, and this can create problem for us too, if they leave to rent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's all of our speakers.
Amanda, have we had any comments, complaints, concerns about, I know we did another facility in the last year or so.
Unfortunately, the one that was most recently approved by the commission off of Lake Center, the owners decided to not move forward with that facility, and we approved another entitlement, which is now Milestones Montessori. It was the previous so that dog daycare
that it's been mentioned tonight.
I believe that's one off of Dimension, and I'm not aware of any complaints that we've gotten
Is
for
it
that one.
in a similar
It's an industrial building.
Similar
off
to
of
this?
Dimension. I would have to look. I'm not sure regarding the square footage would have at that facility.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that facility is probably smaller than this one, but so.
I think that was one of the first daycare facilities that went before the commission years ago.
And just to be clear, and all that, and that all was.
There wasn't a parking study that was submitted because the applicant met the city's parking employees and animals that would be at the facility.
Did you have an opportunity to look at the inside of that building?
Been on the inside of the building.
Okay. All right. Well, I think they stated they did have air conditioning. Okay. All right.
Let's bring it up here and discuss. I think the 120 dogs, that's the maximum. I think that would be a phenomenal goal, if I'm not mistaken, because maybe you would agree that's probably something that you would never have. I don't know, but that would be just the maximum of, Do you have I guess it's kind of hard to tell at this point, but do you have an idea or studies about how many maybe you would have in a day? Come up to because they're recording this. So the question, just to make sure, is 120 is the maximum, and that would be phenomenal. I guess, in
that's
your
an
case, if that
aspiration.
was the case. But generally speaking, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so in our first year, what we're hoping to get is 60 dogs, and hopefully, we missed the holiday season. We're hoping to open the holiday season. We're a little behind schedule. So with boarding, I don't know that we'll get more than 10 dogs boarded until maybe spring break, and then maybe we'll go up from there. But it's going to be about 60 dogs. Now, 120 dogs, too, they're not all going to be there at once. People bring in their dogs early and then get off early, and it's like staggered. And the total transaction time is 5 minutes. So they come in, they've already signed up, they drop off their dog, within 5 minutes they leave. We have 24 spots allocated to us. So with the city's standards, we're going to need 19 spots total. So 24 will more than cover. So that's the answer.
And I suppose if it's a repeat customer, up knowing them, here's Charlie, and off you go. And
and we're going to try and build in things like apps where they can just tell us what time they're going to get there and be able to speed up the time. Usually, once they're signed up, you drop them off. It's just like, again, kids at daycare, baby, and then you pick them up at the end of the day.
Thanks.
Last, an interesting point. You are going to take the dogs out for walks in the public right of way?
In the public right of way, the business park.
How do you propose to clean up the mess if the dog makes a mess? Because that is an interesting question.
The same as, is when people walk their dogs on a daily basis. You take the up the mess and pick it up.
Okay.
Is there a spot here the dogs can figure that they go there? Or
They go where they are, where they go, and then we're quick to clean up after them. That's the standard practice in the industry.
Great.
And the facility in Lake Forest is about the same size. They've been around for a long time.
Anybody have anything else? We can make a motion then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to close the public hearing unless anybody has anything more, and accept a staff recommendation for this hip hip hop hooray, whatever we're doing.
I'll second that.
Let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
welcome. So, welcome to Lake Forest, thank you. And do we have any discussion items?
We have no discussion items this evening.
Gosh. Any director's comments?
Okay. The commission, at this point in time, we do not have any items coming forward to the commission at their first meeting in the month of January. And as you know, we have to put public notice in the newspaper, so the chance that something will arise between then and that meeting date is literally non-existent. So we would ask that you cancel your first meeting in the month of January. And do we need a motion or just a... Just consensus, that would help us out? Yes.
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 Yes. Motion could be to the first meeting in February.
Yeah, the commission only meets once a month, so our next regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission will be our meeting in the month of February.
Will reorganization occur in the month of February? Because normally I know in January is when we...
January 15th.
When we would normally... That's when
Yes.
it's going before council?
That's when they decide.
Okay.
Right, on January 15th, the council will have a meeting, and there are 3 commissioners whose positions will be up for reappointment. So we will, in February, we'll have the new commissioners, the clerk will come and swear in the new commissioners.
Okay, then I concur. Let's pass on to January.
Okay, so the meeting, it's actually February 14th, so you better start making plans as to how you're going to make everyone happy in your life, because you're going to be here on February 14th. So you got a lot of time to think of something special. And my only other comment, I'd just like to wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Well, hopefully we're all here on February 14th, depending on how January 15th goes. So, go ahead.
Just happy holidays and Merry Christmas to the Commission.
Thank you. Anybody?
I found it interesting, Jolene texted me after our last meeting, we were discussing the fire deals, that Paradise went up in flames. I mean, it was that evening, wasn't it, after we'd had that conversation? So I found it sort of ironic that we were talking about that exact thing as it occurred. So I think and I noticed at some point we'll be discussing that, which I'm looking forward to. Other than that, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy and safe New Year. Nobody do what I wouldn't do, so you're full range of opportunities before you. And once again, Merry Christmas to all.
I concur with you about the holidays and Merry Christmas and everything. And I just want to say it's been a real privilege to work with the staff and with my fellow commissioners for this last term, and hope to continue it longer. But I just want to tell everybody thank you for a really enjoyable time on the commission. I really enjoyed my time here.
So I wanted to comment to Heiko about the campfire. I actually had 3 families who lost their homes up in Paradise, burnt to the ground. And he mentioned the one roadway. Well, they opened all 4 lanes to go out of town, and a lot of my cousins' friends got out the backside of the town. So and they had lived there for 30 years, and they had evacuated several times. It was just such a horrific fire that was so quick. You could have had 12 roads leading out of that town, and people would have been the homes would have been burned. So anyway, I'll talk to him separately. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that Commissioner Carter and I are working on the general plan, and there is just an exciting thing, I think, going on with the general plan. And there's a website, lakeforest.generalplan.org, if anybody, all of you that are left here, but we have like thousands of people watching this on television. Okay, it's just Amanda's parents, and they don't live in Lake Forest, but just in case, it's an exciting time to get involved in Lake Forest, because I think that the general plan I'm learning, is really going to guide our city for the next 20 years. And there's still ways to input, and we meet on the first Thursday, except for January, here in this building and at 6:30, and we welcome residents to come and to give their input on what they would like to see in our city. To me, it's really exciting, and I'm enjoying working with staff and Dave, and then they threw in a lot of other people too. So, and lastly, a happy and holy season to everybody.
I had the opportunity to attend that workshop on a general plan last Thursday, I guess it was, or previous Thursday, and I just want to say to the staff, I'm 100% behind the ideas that were expressed there, and we need to work them into real goals. Unfortunately, sometimes general plans end up being sort of wish lists, and you have to figure out how you're going to achieve it. And I liked everything I heard. Thank you.
And I just want to thank staff and appreciate all the help this past year. And so with that, I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and adjourn this meeting to the next regularly scheduled meetings, which would be February 14th of 2019. Thank you.